call out the problems, right? But only the champions. Only the champions.
Yeah, there's always way more reasons not to do something than there is to do something.
All right. So what's going on, everybody? So right here we are with the one and only Atomic
What's up?
Sounds and Magnet. That's right. The
It's
phenomenal,
your boy.
phenomenal. Go ahead. I'll let you. Go ahead. Go right ahead. Do you think?
That's it. That was my bet. It's your boy. I come in all like teenager. It's your boy. Yeah.
Oh, that was it. That was it. That was lovely. Thank you, Magnet. Well, welcome. Welcome. And here we are in VR, and we're in the stew. Atomic Sounds, Magnet, Nina Crease, and Atomic Ish basically giving us a breakdown on his latest atmospheric creations. Coming to you soon. So, Atomic. Atomic primarily uses Ableton. So, this is Ableton, which you are seeing here on the screen. And we're actually watching this play back in real time.
Yes.
So, any questions, please enter it into the chat and we will get right into it. But, yeah. But until then, we're going to let Atomic break down this awesome heart racing. I hear a heartbeat in there at the moment. We're
Yeah.
gonna let him
I'm
break
sick
down
my.
exactly, right? Like
Yeah.
what we're listening to here. This is awesome. This is awesome.
So yeah, basically this is Ableton, and it is a DAW, which is a digital audio workstation, and this is how a lot of people make music. In different kinds of DAWs, there's loads of DAWs out there, but primarily I use Ableton because I like the workflow. Pretty much all DAWs are the same.
Go ahead, I hear you. You said pretty much all those are the same.
Yeah, I actually use Ableton because of that reason, the workflow reason. And this is one of my latest tracks. So I'm heavily into ambient music at the moment, and I'm heavily in using external synths, so hardware synths. Hence why there's a lot of audio files on these tracks. And this whole track was made with the Micro Freak, which is an awesome little synthesizer.
Shout out to Micro Freak.
Micro Freak,
Shout out to Micro Free.
Ulterior Micro Freak. If you want to splash some of those Micro Freaks around, be my guest. But yeah, so as you can see at the top, I've got the top track is my Micro Freak track. So when you're using external synthesizers, the workflow is a bit different. So you have to make one thing at a time, as you can't really do too many things at once. So once you get a sound and you've made a sound on the synthesizer and you like the part that you want, then you record it onto an audio track. Hence, if you look on here, each one of these tracks are all listening for the Micro Freak. So when I push record, it's going to record from the Micro Freak channel. And every single one of these tracks have all been recorded from the Micro channel. So we'll go through from top to bottom. So that's my Micro Freak. And these are the effects that I put on just for sort of like listening to see what the sounds are going to sound like with effects on. I don't record them with the effects on though, because I've add the effects onto the audio channels separately. Because if you record any sound with audio effects on, then if you want to loop that sound, it's going to sound a bit odd because the effects stop and the reverb stop, and everything just sounds a bit strange. So what I generally do is just use these as a guide, then I'll go onto the track and then I'll add my effects onto each one of the tracks. That's the bass, don't put much on. Got reverb on and auto pan on. Some auto pan. So we'll start off from the top. Push play again. So the first, to be fair, I've been a bit lazy on this project because I haven't named any of my layers. generally you should do, so you can tell what's what. So if I single each one out, so this is sort of like a texture layer that I've done. So it's just giving that extra bit as well, it's giving that a little bit of texture underneath everything, making the mix sound a bit fuller. And then beneath that, we've got a high string. So you've got a bit of a low texture with this one. And then I've just added this to fill the spectrum, the frequency spectrum up. So it makes the whole track sound a bit bigger and fatter and nicer. And below that, we've got the bass. No, sorry, that's the heartbeat. And that's straight out the Microfreak, straight in with no effects on. And underneath that, we've got the bass. Which is kind of nice. Not too many effects on that one. And then on this track, we've got, this is sort of like an arpeggio that goes in and out and pans left to right. So it just gives that bit of like ear candy now and again just to make it sound nice. And then below that one, we have got another arpeggio, but it's sort of like coming in when the other arpeggios going out. And so they're sort of like interlacing and playing with each other like magnet, like we said before, like a call and response kind of.
So how have you
thing
achieved
happening.
that?
So basically, this is all done with filters. So on the actual synths, I got filters, obviously. So I would filter this one out and then filter this one in. That's like, and do it all live. So when I'm recording, I'll actually ride the filter in and out.
So you're using physical hardware and turning
Yeah.
a knob or a dial?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Essentially.
So there's no
use a
automation
physical-
or anything.
No, there's not automation. No.
Weaving is done live on the instrument.
Yeah, this is all done live on the instrument.
Cool.
Sometimes I'll use automation and do it with automation, but sometimes I just like to get my hands dirty and.
Oh
yeah,
yeah, twiddling
play it live.
dials is definitely the most fun thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Everything is great. The software is all amazing, and we've come so far with technology. But there's something that feels just cool about turning a dial and listening to a sound go like choo.
You're changing the sound live and stuff.
Yeah.
It's really satisfying.
Yeah, same on the decks. I got to be careful not to do it too much when I'm DJing. Cause
Yeah,
it's
that's
like, yo, we don't want to hear the effects, bro. We're here to hear the song.
So this is a kind of a hat, hi-hat, which is off of the actual synth. So, and then we've got sort of like a lead kind of pad coming in and out as well. So it sort of like swells and goes in and out. And then you notice I'm using quite a lot of auto pan, and the phrase and the offsets should be different on each one. So if I go to that one, the whip and the offset's all the way down, where I was on this one, the offset's all the way down, but the phrase is halfway up. Again, that one's the same. That one's the same actually. But I try and get the auto pan so you got things crossing over in your ears, so you ain't just got everything panning to the left and then everything panning to. You want it sort of like interlacing with each other. And then I've just got this little sound effect on here, on this last track.
Magna, keep an eye on the stage for me, please.
Yep.
Thank you.
So it's like a little noise builder.
It's very quiet, very low.
And my choice, I'm loving this plugin at the moment, which is Solaris.
Mm-hmm.
And it is absolutely free. It's a reverb, and I am just absolutely loving it at the moment.
Oh.
So
it's just an effect, but it's has its own channel.
No, I've actually put reverb on the same reverb on each channel because I wanted more of the reverb. Have you ever looked at this reverb? I want more of the reverb than the sound. Where as in sends, you can put everything to sends and send all of it to the reverb, but you're still getting the sound on top of that. So I wanted
Ah.
this sound to be totally washed out.
Right.
So this is all on the channel, which, like I say, if you're using the same reverb on each channel that you want, okay, that's totally different. I just went totally against my own advice, to be honest.
Look, honestly, there's we can talk about like rules and stuff, but like
Yeah,
sometimes whatever sound, like sometimes there'll be something that sounds pleasing to the ear, and then I'll look at it and be like, oh, that's actually not like that's not in key or something like like I shouldn't actually use that. But when I listen to it, like I think it sounds good,
yeah,
and
that's
it's
the
like
thing.
cool. Yeah.
With music production, there's no rules, and it doesn't matter. If it sounds good, it sounds.
Yeah, right. That's the rule. Does it sound good?
That's the rule. Yep, exactly. So, but generally, the only reason why I would say use your stuff on the sends is one, it makes everything sound like it's coming from the same space, and two, it saves on CPU power.
Yeah, two really good reasons.
Yeah. But with ambient, it's a bit different. I found out it's totally different because everything needs to be washed out, and it's sort of like the amount of reverb that I'm using on these ambient tracks, I'd never use in a normal track kind of thing. And especially with hardware synths. So the hardware synths that I've got haven't got inbuilt effect, so they rely on outboard effect or in the box effects, like VST effects and stuff like that. So you'll find, if I find a sound, let me try and find a sound with, for instance, if I took this off, take these effects off, and that's what that sounds like.
I really noticed the utility one, that's for sure.
Yeah, so the utility adds,
width out
I've
of the
just used
sound.
that to add the width.
Yeah, yeah, I can see you've got it on 250%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just properly pushes it right to the sides.
yeah.
But you listen to this now, I put auto filter back on, which is just doing a really slow auto filter, as you can hear.
Yeah.
And then I'll put auto pan on, which only a little tiny amount just to give it a bit of movement. But this is the big one. If I turn this on, listen to what happens when the auto filter stops.
I was gonna say I actually didn't notice any change.
No, to be fair, let's have a look. Quite a lot on there. There it is, coming back in now. No, that's not actually affecting it. Yes, affecting it, but not loads. Bad example.
I'm listening real hard. Yeah, all good.
Bad example. So this one then. So let's have a listen to this one. I'll take the effects off of this one and listen to what it sounds like.
Yeah. Oh, love that.
It's dry. It's dry.
Yeah.
But then we put the reverb on. I'll turn all of it on now and put the EQ on.
Yeah. That pan's huge. Whee. Love it.
These are on, so you hear these are panning every 16th note. So that's why it's getting that really like stereo feel. So they're backwards and forwards. And it gives it a real nice stereo thing. If I turn the reverb off.
Okay.
And the compressor off. And that off. And the auto pan off.
Yeah,
That's what
okay.
it sounds like. And then if I
Yeah.
select them all again and turn them on,
It's tighter.
yeah, it's a lot tighter and it's actually side chained. As you can see, I've got a side chain
Yep.
here to the base, I think it is.
So the side, yeah, right.
And then if I do the same on this one as well.
Yeah, because there's no kick to sidechain too.
Yeah, that's it, exactly, yeah. So if I do this one here, and this is dry. And now if I play that again with both the effects on. It gives it that bigger,
Yeah.
sort of like nicer drawn out tail at the end of it. So
Yeah.
that's how you'd use basically reverb on these kind of ambient tracks. Let me just load up another one.
And I noticed they're all around this. I think they've been 86. Is there a particular reason you're choosing that speed?
I don't know. You're just random. I don't. To be fair, it's just like I like it. You can make ambient tracks a bit quicker, so you can have them up to 120 BPM.
Right.
But I generally like the kind of slower stuff. So let's have a look at this one. So this we go from the top. So this one I've used Cardinal or VCV Rack, which is a modular sort of like setup to make the sequences.
Mhm.
So these two
Right.
ones, if I open that up, I'll show you if you can see it. That is, let's have a look. If I bring that up, oh no, yeah, there you go.
Ooh.
So it's just a basic.
Blech.
Right, a basic. Why I always say it's just a
It's
basic.
basic,
Look
Nina.
at
That's
that.
basic.
There
It's
is
basic. It's
nothing
base
basic
pro.
about
Day
that. Look
one
at this.
shit, Nina. If you don't just immediately look at that and think, oh yeah, I can see how that works, then I don't know how to help you. I feel like we need to call the fucking bomb squad, man. I'm out
Right,
here
look at
like
this.
with a manual
What
and
are you
shit.
talking about?
So all this is good. So this part on the left with the playing and the reset and everything, that's Ableton. You look at that as Ableton. So when it's playing, it will run this, which is a clock, which is a same as a MIDI clock, which tells this sequencer how fast to go. So now that's tied to Ableton. So when we push play on Ableton, this will move in BPM, in the right BPM to Ableton. And then each of these dots on the sequencer represent notes. And then the notes go out through these wires, and these are sending these to my external synth. So if I look on here, this one's sending to MIDI channel 1, sequencer 2 is going to MIDI channel 2. So it's actually triggering off my external synth. So that is, on the surface, really basic. So I've got two of those. And then on my sends track, I've got another one, which is not so basic. And this is making a really nice texture. So what I'll do is I'll show you that's that. And the texture, I've recorded it to save CPU power. I've recorded the send onto its own audio track. And that sounds like this. Oh, let me just turn that down. 2 seconds. Let me put master to utility. So that's synth that I've just shown you is creating this texture.
Wow, it's like, yeah, all spooky, I guess, yeah.
Yeah. So we get to about here, and it's just adding a bit of nice texture underneath it. So that is what that send was for. And then also I've got some more, an LFO tool which is controlling the auto filter, and then I've got an auto pan on there and another reverb and a bit of EQ. So that's that. And now if we play that within the mix all together, it sounds. Just adds that background texture. And this is actually one of my favourite parts of this track. Is I made this with my newly fixed synth, which I fixed. And it's like whale song, like whale noise.
Yes.
And I just love it under it. Especially when it gets to like this.
Oh, that's 100 a whale.
Whoa.
Yeah. So now within the mix, that sounds like. It just gives it that little bit of, I don't know.
The French have a phrase for that. That sensation where you can't describe that little thing extra. It's
What's
a
that?
je ne sais quoi.
Je ne sais quoi. Indeed. So this one, this track was made up with my Neutron, which is the new, not new synth, but it's my newly fixed synth, and my Micro Freak again. And I've used a bit of pigments in there as well, which is kind of cool. So we've looked at that. This is the next track down is the bass. So this bass is coming from sequence 2, so it's totally random. It's totally random and generated. And so basically, if I show you sequence 2,
Just the rack, isn't it?
it's exactly the same, but you see this is moving. Basically what's happening here is I've put this, so it's divided by 4, so it's 4 times slower than 84 BPM, and then it's on the first one, so I've just wired that into this. So now it's moving, so what's that, every, I don't know, every, I can't work out. So it's every bar. So once a bar, hey, it's late at night. Come on,
Mate, I didn't know I didn't know the answer. You don't need.
Right?
It's all good, bro. Yeah. I'm not.
And then what's happening with this as well is this EOC here. So it's end of clip. So when it gets to this yellow line, it triggers off and it goes into the random slot. So now when we watch this to the yellow line, see what happens. And boom, it creates a random pattern. And that's where that bass is coming from. So this bass line was totally random, as was the synth, which I think.
Have you but you've told it to keep it in key somehow?
Yeah.
Is that okay,
So I'll show you that. Let's go back again.
Oh my god, I've gone and asked questions about the vomit.
No, that's cool. Oh yeah, on the sequence there. On the sequence there, we can put the note
down the bottom there.
on the scale. So
yeah, cool. Okay.
You can see I'm in D sharp minor. And so yeah, that's that. And with the bass together, those two, that's totally random.
The bass line as well.
Yeah, bass line and the ARP are both totally random.
Oh, wow.
But they go together because they're all in key.
Yeah.
And with both of them in the mix. Just call this one here. It's just pigments, and it's recording just little random chord stabs.
Mm-hmm.
So with the sequence, they sort of like tie together because they're playing the same notes. And then under that, I think this is one of the two pads that VSTs that I'm using. So this is Serum, and it's a pad that I made. She's got a lot of modulation. You can see the waveforms all slowly moving over time, and the filter. Second, sorry. That's better. And then under that one, we've got this is another thing. It's for Contact 7. So if you've got Contact 7, there's a website I can't remember the name of, but on the next session I will make sure I have it. There's this free choir patch called Winter Voices, and it's just super nice. It's like, this was a project people done over lockdown, so there is like, I think it was 250 people all sent in their vocals to this person, and he made a choir VST for it. So there is tons and tons of presets and all here, and all different textures and everything, and it's super, super nice.
Yeah, cool.
Wow.
It's a real nice, like, ethereal choir. And that's that. We've gone through the whale sounds, and this is something that I made on the Neutron. It's just,
dang, look at that EQ curve.
Yeah.
Right?
Looked like he bouncing a ball, basketball or something like a.
Oh, that's on the choir,
Swoosh.
isn't it? Yeah, that's on the choir
Yeah,
because there's a lot of overtones and a lot of really sort of like tones that were coming through that was sounding awful. So I had to cut quite a few.
Oh my gosh, yeah, look at that.
Quite a few tones out. Free.
Putting in that work.
And then lastly but not least, I think, what's this? It's just a random little, on my Ableton Push, all I did was run my finger across the pad just to
That's all you did?
give that little piano roll. Yeah, that's all I've done, and added a bit of reverb and a bit of delay, and boom. And then all together in a mix, that sounds like this. So we play it from. So there's a lot of EQ work on here because there's a lot of stuff going on all at once. And I don't know, it's just something about the randomness of it. It does sound sort of like very relaxing. And like we said before, Magnet, it sounds like underwater, and I think it's those whale sounds that put you under there. Yeah, so that's how I go and approach sort of like an ambient track.
Yeah, man, that's
And there
wild.
you have it, ladies ladies and gentlemen.
That's the underwater one too, right? Was that it?
Yeah, that's the underwater one. Yeah,
There we
Yeah.
have it.
called Tranquilities.
So we want to thank you guys for tuning in. Atomic Sounds with the ambient sounds. I like that.
No.
Yeah, that was wild.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely had me underwater.
And then right here,
And that
leading with all the questions, we had DJ Magnet. Make sure you guys follow Magnet. Magnet also streams on his own accord weekly on his real decks. Our man could flex, all right? And he also makes music with us in the castle. So when we have our collaborations, come on, you gotta follow my man. My man, and he's coming out with his own creations on top of it.
hey,
Urban Hour out now. So listen, we're making that music, we're making that fire, and we're having a fun time doing it. We'll be back. I'm Nina Kreese. This is the Music and Gaming Castle, and we will see you around, everybody. Have a good one. See you next time.
See you next time.